from the city of Chicago, a city most recently known for its crime and violence. On this podcast, we will be sharing stories of redemption from individuals raised in the tough streets of Chicago and from around the country. Some of them were gang members, drug dealers, incarcerated, victims, and perpetrators of violence. Listen to my guests as they share their experiences, struggles, trauma, but also the strength, hope, faith, and perseverance these have developed in them to keep pushing and moving forward in life. Tune in to hear how their lives have gone from darkness to light and from wrong to strong. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wrong to Strong Chicago. I'm your host, my name is Omar Calvillo, and tonight we got an exclusive interview. Tonight I have alongside me, I have David Ayala and his cousin Jimmy Soto. They got exonerated, I believe it was last December, after serving over 42 years in prison. And David was sharing with me a little while ago that this is the first time that they've done a interview together. So it's a privilege and an honor for me to have these brothers here. Welcome to the podcast, brothers.
Thank you, Omar. It's a pleasure being here with you, and especially with my cousin here. Together, like you said, the first interview that we did together. And we're praying for your success in your podcast. We believe your message is an important one, and that's why we're here tonight.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the support. And I know, like your story, we're talking a little while ago, how, man, it went over like 20,000 views on YouTube. And, man, it just, it drew others in. And I know I interviewed Jimmy, so hopefully I'll be able to release it soon, I'm waiting for the green light from him, so.
No, you're definitely going to have the green light because what we're going to say, I think, is important. What you do is important, and I'm the one that's humbled and honored to be here because, you really showcase transformation, change in individuals. And I think that people need to understand that what someone might have done in their teens, you can't have that carry on when they're in adulthood. I think we talked about this last time, that in Scripture it says when you were a child, you act like a child, you did childish thing. But now when you're an adult, you're expected to act a certain way. And so, there is transformation. Even though we didn't do the crimes we were convicted of, we still went through transformation ourselves.
Thanks for sharing that, brother. Now, I know this came last minute, just over the weekend. I had actually invited these brothers. I'm going to have a little gathering in October. I'm going to try to get as many guests that have been on the podcast together and just to, give them a thank you, for sharing their story with us. Like you mentioned, what we're trying to do here is share these stories, not to glorify the past, but to bring encouragement through those that have been through similar struggles, and just to let them know that that to keep hope, and that change is possible and freedom is possible, So let me ask you guys, whoever wants to go first, how has the transition been for you guys, since you've been out? I know you mentioned a little bit about it, but maybe give us an update, maybe of what's been going on in these last few months.
Well, so since we did the podcast, which was when I was just released, and you spoke on what my short-term goals were, my long-term goals, and one of the goals I mentioned was to get my own home, and I think I mentioned have my little lawn, chase the kids off. I'll be the old guy chasing the kids off. Yeah, so I accomplished that goal, and that's been my focus, putting my home together in the comfort level that I like, just comfort, domestic life it works for me, and it's been pretty good. I'm employed now, which was another blessing, and the state took so many decades of our life. We should be retired by now at this age, but because the state stole our years of our lives, we're now getting in. For me, getting in the workforce and dealing with all the responsibilities of a homeowner, and it gives me appreciation for other homeowners. So when I go down the street, my eye is to see, oh, that guy has perennials, and it looks like perennial flowers there, and I'm learning these things, and I'm liking these things. And for my cousin, he has a definite path, what he's doing, and a progressive path to help others that are wrongfully convicted and left behind. Never forgetting the ones left behind, but he could speak on that better.
Yeah. Well, what I've been doing since I've been out, I've been working at the Northwestern School of Law as a paralegal. I worked at the Evanston Northwestern campus as a research assistant, and I work at the University of Chicago as a community justice practitioner and fellow at the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture. So, academics was something that was made available to me while in there. Unfortunately, David wasn't able to have those opportunities because they try to put, I spoke about them trying to always put somebody in a niche and keeping them in that niche when, he was definitely doing a lot of positive things in there. He was with the JCs with me. He was doing things to help people out. He worked up front in the visiting room, and he would take time to look when people had their kids there, or when people had elderly people, to look out for them, make sure to get up the steps and everything, sit down and make sure they're okay. So this is the side that people don't understand, that, those decades that we spent in there, we try to do our best to do positive things. And like I said, unfortunately, they took him out of state, and he wasn't able to have the same opportunities. But I really believe that if he was given these opportunities, he would have excelled in academics as well. That being said, currently I'm going to be putting my early applications in for law school, and I'm hoping to get into Northwestern. If I don't, it's whatever God leads me to. Whatever university I get in, that's the university I'm supposed to be in. You and I, Omar, had a conversation last time, and I know that it hasn't been released yet, but hopefully that would be part one, and this will be part two. And we spoke about, a purpose of being in there, and my purpose was, helping people with their legal problems, as obviously there's a ton of that in there. And, I became proficient at it and helped get some people fully exonerated, et cetera. But it's not about the accolades. It's why I was there. I had to come to terms with, why am I in there? For all these years, constantly not getting it. And then I told you there was a purpose there to help others. It wasn't for me. It was for other people. So we're put in places like you, Omar. You're put in this place, have this platform in order to put some messaging out there. That's in a sense your purpose in part. You probably are going to go on to bigger and better things as well. You don't know where it's going to lead you, but one thing's for sure, the Spirit's going to take you where you need to be, and you're going to be in that spot at the perfect time.
Amen. Thanks for sharing that. Now, Jimmy, with you, how has, I know you mentioned what you're doing, what you're getting involved in, but how was like personal life, like transitioning, like
well,
maybe
difficult.
the last few years ago?
It's been difficult for me, to have my personal relationships, they weren't what I wanted them to be. You're trying to find your significant other. It's not easy because I've been, without quote unquote being with somebody in the physical space of another woman, and it's an unnatural thing where you're put in these unnatural settings, and so there's all sorts of temptations, but you just got to stay strong. And so what I mean by that, it's a struggle even within the family dynamic. I live with my sister, but it's like she knows me, but she was 8 years old when I got in, so we're just getting to know each other as well. I think it's the same might be true with David. His family are getting to know him as well, or getting to know him again, because we were gone so long. We might have had visits. We were able to communicate with them, but at the same time, it's not the same as being in that space on a regular basis. So that's a struggle. I mean, let's be honest. These places grind you down. They're meant to destroy you. And what it does is that it makes you have despair. We have trauma. We came out with trauma, that we don't even realize the extent or the depth of this trauma. Like you said, they stole all these years, and they also stole a part of our psyche. And so our spiritual, I could say this, our spiritual self, what that's within us, which has been able to give us the strength to carry on, because the mental toll, if we just had that alone, our mental thing, I don't think, we would have made it.
So for me, there's like a lot of surprises that like he spoke about trauma, but you don't even realize the trauma, because my friends could tell you, my closest friends when they were around me, one night, I saw the moon, and I was just marveling at this beauty of this beautiful moon, and it struck me that this is a gift that God gives it to us. It gives it to us every day. Every night there's a moon given to us. And when we get this gift, and I don't know if everybody appreciates the magnitude of what this means. It brought me to tears. A lot of things, just suddenly bring me to tears. And, it's something that was surprising that I never see as a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's a human emotion, and that's what we are. We're humans. And something that, the week before last, when my sister called me, I was in a restaurant and we were waiting. We would take out restaurant, and she's like, "Come here, David, come here." It was raining that day, and she said, "Look, it's a rainbow," and I hadn't seen a rainbow probably 40 years or whatever, you know. And then we seen the rainbow, and I was like, "Man, that rainbow is marvelous. It's a marvelous thing." And I looked around, and the people were just going about their business, not even taking the time to look at that rainbow. So these things that, when you're deprived of seeing the moon, and because you go to cell, you're locked up at, say, latest at 9 o'clock. You're locked in that cell until breakfast time in the morning, 6 o'clock or 5, whatever that prison runs their breakfast line at. So you're not going to see the moon, you're not going to see the stars. And when you see them, for me now, when I see them, driving down the street and I see a sunset, it touches me deeply. So that's, it's what we were deprived of, but now it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have that appreciation for these things.
There's things that people out here like take for granted. Like you mentioned, people just going by the day, another rainbow, another moon. But to you, it's significant.
Yeah. I can't remember, Omar, if I mentioned it to you, but it was the first time that I walked the dog. So my brother-in-law, Joe, he, my sister, they rescue dogs. They had 2 dogs. One is kind of feisty. That's my favorite dog. And he said, let's take the dogs for a walk. We took the dogs for a walk. I had one dog. He had the other dog. And as we were taking the dog for a walk, I'm looking at the dog, and I see the dog sniffing the ground, and I'm thinking to myself, what is this dog? I don't know what this dog's thinking about. And I see a pretty squirrel go by, and I was just thinking, man, this is like a tremendous experience for me. I hadn't walked a dog for over 42 years. It's been over 42 years, and I walk a dog, and it just touched me. These things touch me deeply,
Yeah, I mean, especially, I don't know, they're like they say dogs are like man's best friend. That there's something about them, man. I think they said even like when you're like petting a dog, that something happens like physically, like in the body, like it does something. But I know you too. I know you were mentioning the moon, and you mentioned you hadn't seen, I believe it was a sunrise.
Yeah.
But we were talking.
Yeah,
and
sunrise.
Do you want to share that?
It's the same type of ethereal thing that Dave talks about, that I seen the sun rise, and to me it was like I hadn't seen it in 25 years because I was always in a cell that didn't have a sunrise there. So I seen sunsets, but to see the sunrise, it's like it was really, really cathartic to me, and I got emotional too. And I still do. I go up to the beach, the lakefront. I go early in the morning, and I love to be there to see the sunrise. And there's other people that are there, but to us, it's like a new experience because we have not been able to experience that. So it's like they're beautiful, but it also has like this really deep emotional effect on us, I think, or maybe even a spiritual one, to be honest, because you're not able. I was eating like a peach the other day, a fresh peach, and I'm just looking at it, marveling at it, eating how good it tasted. Wow, we were talking about watermelons, the same thing. A lot of this fresh fruit and stuff was taken out of the prisons, and you wouldn't get it that often. So to have it readily available, just those really simple things is like, wow, it's like so great and wonderful. It's a blessing to have that and being able to enjoy it. And I savor every bite of that.
So Omar, so I became new to Facebook. And the reason why I was becoming new to Facebook, because everybody was asking me, the people that had, I was trying to be careful who I'll give my number to, and the people were wondering what I was doing. So they said the easiest way how to show everybody what you're doing, put it on Facebook. What you're doing. He makes fun of me, jokes a little bit. I'll put it on Facebook. But so
post it. You said talking about it. Post it.
I took a bath. This is the first bath that I had in 42 years. And so, most people just take a shower. Well, that day, I was working, I was exercising, my whole shoulders everything was sore. And I said, I'm going to take a bath. So I took a bath. So I told my girl, take a picture of Facebook. I posted. I took it down 2 days later. They're saying that is inappropriate. There's some things I wasn't exposing myself or anything, but they say that's like a little bit too personal. But I'm traversing that world too to know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. People scrutinize you. They want to see what color of clothes you're wearing. If you happen to wear some color clothes, they're saying, oh, now you're back in this or whatever. Whatever your expectation, you're thinking negative, that's your thinking. That's not my thinking. So I'm secure. Whatever color I want to wear, it could be any color. If that happens to be some part of some group or whatever that group is, it's just a color choice that I make for that day. I was speaking to my cousin here, and I was telling him, we had passed by some of these parks that were traditionally gang-infested neighborhoods. And now the developers come and they gentrify the area. And so now, you know, it's a whole different demographic in that neighborhood, you know. And I'm not hating on the gentrifiers that come through there or the developers either, although, you know, they push out the people that have been living there forever. The property taxes go up and the people can't afford to live in that neighborhood. But it struck me, you know, I realized there's people that lost their lives, you know, holding down that park, that little park right there. People have lost their lives, and the developers come in there and take over that whole area without firing one single shot. And next thing you know, those people that lost their lives, they lost their lives in vain, because now there's someone else. You never owned that park, so you're saying that's your park, that's our park. It ain't your park. It's not your park, because you see that people have developed in that area, maybe even tear the park down, and so. It's just something that I wish the people out there that are involved in the gang life could realize. You know, like, you know, tragedies happen. What about your family? Do you know the cost of a funeral? And, you know, you want to be involved in this life. You're taking a chance with your life. You end up dead. You're leaving your family with a financial burden. I don't think there's many people that plan for the funeral expenses in that lifestyle. You know, maybe as you get older, you start planning, you start thinking ahead. You want to make it not a burden on your family. You know, I know some people that make funeral arrangements, but they're not involved in any kind of nefarious activity. They're just good thinkers, planning ahead. But I know that recently there was a couple of murders in Chicago, and I know they were raising some money. Heard through third parties that this family was struggling to pay the funeral costs, and I'm just thinking, you know, you're putting a burden on your family, bro. Tragedy all around. It's a sad thing, you know.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just like the loss of life, but man, the financial hit that a lot of times families have to borrow money, and now they're getting in debt to try to be a blessing in a sense, right? Like go ahead.
To add to what David is saying, that you know, it's really, really deep. My studies and my personal observation of everything that's going on out here, it's like this. It goes back really to the earliest times in Mesoamerica, where you see the colonizers, the Spaniards come in and they had you hate your fellow indigenous person. Then they would have you hate yourself, hate the woman. And so years and years, and this is generational trauma. I mean, people may not know the history of the United States, but in the Southwest, they were hanging Mexicans. They were hanging Mexicans more than they were hanging black folks in Southwest United States at around, you know, mid-1800s. And so, you know, there was that whole fight that they had there. It wasn't only about land. It was all about, you know, control. And they had signs that I remember when I went to El Paso, Texas as a kid, it said, no whites only. And they said, dogs allowed, no Indians or Mexicans in these restaurants, you know. And I'm saying that to say, like David said, you know, people are fighting for turf areas and this and that. And this is just a reiteration of what happened centuries ago of this self-hate and hating ourselves, our own community. Like right now, it's for Mexicans, the 16th of September is coming out. And I seen something that my sister showed me that people are saying, let's have Mexican pride. And one of it was talking about, like, let's show these Venezuelans. And once again, it's that criminalization, that othering of the brown body that they're showing. Okay, these guys are this. The same thing they do with the Mexican, Puerto Rican, or, you know, however they play us against each other. And when I say they, I'm talking about the status quo, the power structure that really runs this country. And so if they can keep us, you know, in this cycle of hate and violence, then they maintain control. And that's really what it's all about. But if you change that dynamic and you bring in, you know, loving yourself, then it changes. And that's all through, you know, spiritual healing. And it's because so much hurts out there. It's time to heal. It's time to restore, you know. It's time for that. That's what we need.
Yeah. Now, one thing I wanted to ask, I know it's probably off topic, but that came to my mind earlier. How many men did you see in prison that it was father and son behind bars? Because I know I was only locked up for 3 years, but I got to see that. Like a couple where it was father and son. And I see, and the reason I bring that up is like the generational, almost like a generational curse, generational stronghold. Yeah. So that was just a question that came to my.
I'll answer that real quick. I've seen a lot of it. You know, I'm sure David has too. But there was one in particular where you had the grandfather, you had the son, I mean, the father, and you had the son, and then you had uncles and nephews. Just one family. You had all that, all the same last name locked up. So yeah, it's definitely generational.
I saw that.
There you go.
I remember there was a father and son. They had the same name. He was Junior, and this guy was father and son. The son was Junior, and they lived in the same cell. And so when they would bring the mail, the officer would say their name, and so like they didn't know which one was the mail intended for. But I was thinking when I saw that father and son, like how it would be if I was ever in prison with my father, which I don't think would have ever happened, But and I'm not judging those guys, they may have been innocent men too, but it just struck me. It struck me how it would have affected their family, how it would affect that particular family. I won't say they're primary breadwinners, but maybe they are, because women are just as equal and qualified to bring money home too, They're just as qualified. In many cases, more qualified. Some I think we need more female leaders in the communities or in the political scene or something. I think that maybe with some more women taking the lead, there will be less problems. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. No, and the reason I bring that up, because I was thinking, I know you guys are talking about change and maybe changing the mindset mentality, like as men, like, because I've interviewed a few people where they were like almost like bred to be gangbangers since they were little.
Yeah.
Like, and it came from like you mentioned, grandfather, father, uncles, and like if you think about it, like it'll be easy to judge these young men, right? That say they go into that lifestyle to commit crime, but they were like basically raised like to be that. Like how can you like like not judge them, but yeah, like to judge them when they were raised. So how could we, I guess, break that? Like starting with like families that are like almost like reproducing that kind of lifestyle. Like as men, what could we begin to do to break that?
If you truly love your child, if you truly love someone very close to you, you know that you really don't want that for them. Now, if you're trying to build a dynasty, for instance, or something like that, and then you say, well, I'm going to put my blood relative because I know that blood relative has my back, but it's really you haven't evolved enough to know that you should always want something better. You should always want something better for your child. And if you're leading them to a path that's inevitable for you to go to jail or get killed or something like that, then what kind of love is that? But it's I look at that and then to be honest with you, I say that guy's a fool. That guy right there is a fool, because if you really love your son or your child or your daughter, you wouldn't want that for them.
I agree with what David's saying. Absolutely. I mean, if you don't want to see your kids, you want every generation wants to see the next generation do better. And to have that, it's really their priorities are not in the right place. They probably have trauma themselves, that generational trauma we talked about. Yeah. And all this really is. Like, I want you to be what I was, But there comes a point where, like you said, you got to break that cycle. And how do you do that? I mean, to me, what the Old Testament says, it says if you teach the child the ways of the Lord, he'll always come back to it. Yeah. So if they're not getting these principles, this moral compass at a young age, then of course they're going to go to the streets. Of course they're going to go look into that gang life to think that's what it is. But there's no longevity. I mean, you could really look. There's very few old timers that are in their 50s gang banging. This isn't so. It's like you don't see no old drug dealers. There might be a few. Don't get me wrong, but it's very rare because people grow out of that. This is something that you mature and you realize, hey man, this ain't for me. At some point, I've seen it in prison. I've seen it out here. People aren't doing that. But I firmly believe that if you teach the child what's right and wrong or more a better path, those principles will stay with them.
Yeah. No, you bring up that scriptures, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's older, he shall not depart from it. There was a brother I interviewed here that he said that scripture applies both ways, because he said if you train up a child to be a killer, he's going to grow up to be a killer, because he said that his father would like beat the mom and pull a gun on him and his brother when they were little, and he learned this behavior. Yes. Yeah. So then he grew up, and that eventually, when he was older, he went down that path. So he said that scripture like applies both ways. Like you could train him up in the ways of God, but if you teach him to be a criminal, he's gonna grow up to be a criminal. So that's that's pretty messed up in a sense, right? Like
To break these patterns, the pattern for so many of us in our communities to break the pattern to leave that life. Everybody has their own story of how change came about in their life. I won't say there's a one fit for everybody, but I know there's some commonalities. The people, if you think about the people where me and my cousin here come from, the people who didn't get involved in those sort of activities, and I think I mentioned this before, it's parents that have a tight rein on their child, and like this is a mother who's going to be there in your face, get you away from this. You're not going to be at a park. You might try to sneak out the window or something. It's not going to work for very long, and they'll just take you and expose you to some other things. Like in my personal life, I wasn't exposed to some of those things that would have took me away from running around the neighborhood. And I think that probably if I would have, I think I would have excelled in other areas of my life. But now it's for the parent, the guardian to identify how we could take this person here. Like my father, he had a lot of custom work done at the home. And these carpenters, or these ingenious carpenters, would make nice things in the house. And I used to always watch them. And then I think those guys used me because like they'll say, hey, carry the tools here. You can carry our tools and watch his work. And I was watching them work, and they'll take something out of nothing and make a really beautiful thing here. And I think that if, I'm not talking bad, degrading my father's parenting skills, but if he would have harnessed my curiosity and my interest there, then put me in a trade vocational school. And I probably would have been like Norm Abrams, or a master carpenter, or something like that. So, you have to take what the young child is interested in, and harness that, and hopefully it'll go to something positive and something worthwhile, lucrative for the guy.
Yeah.
Can make a living on this.
Okay. Do you want to follow up anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not only with a lot of families that traditional nuclear family, father, mother there, a lot of families want to be single parents, but that's not always the case. Even if you have both parents, like David said, the child could go to school or whatever way they can get out the house and go sneak off and hang out in the hood and wind up banging. So there's on the one end, you have people that come from a solid family, and on the other hand, you have people coming from dysfunctional families. And so, family is where it starts, to be honest, right? But ultimately the child gets old enough that they're going to make their own decisions. And we spoke about this a little bit last time, that your brain doesn't develop until you're 25 years old. That's a biological or physiological fact. And so if your brain's not fully developed, how could you make these cognitive, informed decisions? You're making rash decisions. And if you look at really when crime happens, it happens from the age of 15 to 21 is the primary age when people are do a lot of, particularly when you see these gang banging or gang related deaths, that's when they happen. And unfortunately, there's other factors that are also, there's the socioeconomic factors, lack of employment, poor housing, lack of investment in the communities, et cetera, and so forth, lack of investment in public schools. So all these factors mix into a volatile formula, which we see these cycles just continue because people don't feel they have any way out. I've met individuals in there that never left the Chicago area, or for that matter, left their area in Chicago. They never left, like they live on the south side. They've never been to the west or the north side. They just stay contained in their little area.
Yeah. It's true. Recently we went on a boat ride. It was the historical boat ride, and these sometimes buildings or some of these buildings there. I always saw them. I always went downtown. We saw these buildings. I never knew the history of the building. Oh, that was the Wrigley building right there, and this is what happened there. And it was interesting to me. But some people are stuck in their neighborhoods, and they never leave those neighborhoods. But it's just like when I said, there's a lot of Humboldt Park. You have Pilsen. We called it 18th Street all my life, and there's a lot of changes happening there. And like I said before, people that were gangbanging in those areas, held down. They thought they were holding down the area. You don't hold that area down. You see the developers come in and move you out without firing one single shot. You lost something that you thought you were holding down. You never were. So this is just like somebody to open your eyes and you see these things and you realize these things, and it's just interesting to me the dynamic of, like for instance, the gangs, right? So, this is what you are. That's your identity. Your whole substance is, that's your identity. And all you know is that's what that guy is. So you don't know that person personally or anything like that. You just know this is my identity and that's his identity, and we're fighting. Why? Well, they can't even tell you. All you know is some guy got killed constantly, and it's going back and forth, and you're not thinking about the tragedy, the harm you're doing. We have beautiful communities, very beautiful communities, but they're tainted by this activity going there. Recently, some young guy, he was a soccer player. He was going to be the captain of the team. And Little Village area got killed. He was an innocent guy. This guy had nothing to do with anything, and he was in that area, and he was killed. So just a tragedy all the way around. And when I see these things, I just shake my head and just say, "Wow, this happens." And okay, so how does this stop? How can this possibly stop? You could do march. I went out a march. We went out a peace march. Okay, that's for that night. What about tomorrow? The people within these groups are advocating. You can advocate something better. You could advocate, let's stop this. When I was growing up, when I lived right on 26th Street, the commercial 26th Street. So like there wasn't anywhere near. I can go to 31st Street to Petrosky Park, Hewlett Park, and get involved in some sports there. That's a walk, especially in the wintertime. So, we have what they say, idleness is the devil's workshop. Now we're hanging around the street. What's easy in those neighborhoods? Getting some liquor. And whether the liquor store guy won't sell it to you, we get a runner. Hey, we'll buy you're a damn bump. We'll give you a couple bucks and you can go get us. And this guy has no scruples. He'll go get us, a young kid, some drink. Yeah. We were drinking Boone's Farm. I couldn't Easy Nights, stepping on all these Boone's Farm bottles. Night Train, Wild Irish Rose, all the White Port and Kool-Aid, Bumpy Face Gin.
But they have a Mad Dog 2020 back.
Yeah,
Mad Dog 2020.
Okay, yeah. So in our black communities, they have fruit deserts. They don't have access to good fruits. We have diabetes in those neighborhoods right there. Well, you can get cigarettes in that neighborhood.
And
you
liquor.
could get liquor in that neighborhood. You could get some condoms. But what about the fruits? Yeah. Thank God for the mothers and the grandmothers who make their own garden. They make their own garden, and then because they're precluded, because you're gonna have every other kind of store there, but a fruit store or a health store. And then what happens when the poor community businessman, small businessman, builds? I saw the thing, and it was unfortunate. He built a electronics business in the neighborhood. And somebody took the vehicle and smashed into the building. Kept smashing into there and robbed all his stuff. And it's like the second robbery he had there. And he did an interview on the news. He said, "Look, I'm trying to provide a service for the community that never was there." And what happens? They take the vehicle and smash it in there. And when I saw this, I was just thinking to myself, I know when me and my cousin here will drive down the street, we will get stopped for no probable cause. They stop us. They stop us, search our car, put us on there, and in the summertime search them, tear the car up and all this stuff. Yeah. And where are they now? And I'm not speaking against the police officers. They have a job. They have a great job to do. But where were they when they were smashing this car back and forth? Yeah. Where were they when the taco truck guy that got robbed 3 times? He's just trying to serve some food for the community. He's a small businessman trying to provide for his family. And this crime, it's just very unfortunate. And when I was in Cook County Jail, they isolated me. After like 4 days, they isolated me. When in 2 days, so many guys talked about Jimmy Soto did this. He's a great guy. I said, you can't tell me nothing more than what I know about my cousin. Of course, he's a great guy. But he helped so many guys get back in court. And but when I saw these young guys in the county, I would ask them, "Hey, so what are you doing with your case?" And it was like I was speaking Greek to them. They didn't understand anything. I said, "Look, you guys are worried about commissary, and you're worried about who's going to take your phone call, and you're worried about who's going out with your girlfriend, but you're not understanding what's going to happen with your case. You're not asking the right questions, and before you know it, you're gonna forfeit your rights that you have available at this time, because there's timelines and deadlines." He can speak much better than that.
Actually, I was listening to your podcast like during the week, and then you were talking about, I think it was after 3.5 years there was like a deadline for something for appeal or for
post conviction.
Yeah.
Post conviction. There's timelines and everything. And like he's right, but if you don't preserve those rights at the trial level or post right there, like once you're convicted, you waive a lot of that, and then you can never litigate it, and you're precluded. And yeah, you can blame it on your lawyer, but it's a hard fight. It then becomes the fight. So yeah, he told him right. I mean, I've seen so many people in there thinking that there's going to be this magical change with the law. I haven't seen a change. Truth in Sentencing been on the book since '99. So I'm currently trying to change that. I'm working in some movements. One is building communities, not prisons. But I'm just like a little drop in this big ocean. I'm not making too many waves. I'm trying to get them to do it, but it's gonna take everybody getting together and instead of, like he said, fighting each other and then maybe possibly winding up in prison, or they got homies in prisons, and if you really care about that individual, you want to see him come back out or her come back out.
Yeah.
And they're not going to change these laws unless we demand it, and we got to just coalition build. And like he said, they're taking over our neighborhoods. They're de-investing in these neighborhoods. You have this whole immigrant Venezuelan problem, And so what are we going to do? What are we going to do that we've been in the city, or those that have been in the city for so long? When is enough is enough? When are we going to say we need to start changing? Yes, we have to change our mindset and what we're doing, but we have to get the power structure to change too, to change these laws, give these individuals pathways for release. Because if we didn't come out the way we did, we were going to die in prison. It's simple as that,
Yeah. You know what? I know you guys mentioned about like the advice you're giving, because I go into Cook County like on Mondays, and I go like to witness to these guys, do Bible study with them. But I know you mentioned certain things that they should be doing while they're in there. You want to mention maybe some of those things that come to mind? Because like you said, they're worrying about the wrong things when they should be focused maybe on some important things that could help them in the long run. Or
well, they have to understand that like their next court date. What does that consist of? What are we doing here? What is my lawyer doing? Are they doing the investigative work to see the witnesses that are available now, because they may not be in the future? And you have, like you said, you have a deadline on your post-conviction, if past your conviction, and your focus is on other things, and then next the whole legal world passes you, tramples over you, and runs you over, and now you're just a victim of the system, the criminal system, judicial system. But what I would recommend for those guys to do is, they don't feed you good in Cook County Jail. I just left Cook County Jail in December. And Cook County Jail, for breakfast, you get a peanut butter sandwich. And every 2 weeks, you get two boiled eggs. But it doesn't deviate from there. And every lunch, you get a bologna sandwich. So you're getting one sandwich for breakfast, and you're getting a sandwich for lunch. And so then the commissary prices are just so incredibly high. And you get a regular dinner. A friend of ours, Robert, he posted a picture on his Facebook, a tray, and he says, I'm humble now with the blessings I have, because this is what I used to eat, and I ate this for years, and it's true. Some of that stuff we call a mystery meat. We don't even know what that was. It was like some people say, I want to feed that to my dog. Well, I like dogs, so I definitely wouldn't feed that to the dog. You know what I mean? But it was just, so I would tell my advice to those guys over there: quit tripping about who runs this phone. Share that damn phone. Or don't worry about insignificant things that aren't going to help you gain your freedom, acquire your get your freedom. And so think about something better. But like right now, like I said, sometimes watch the news. Very depressing to me to see another. It's always the same. Some little girl got shot. Some guy got shot. Some little innocent person got shot. And I know shortly after we got released, I had the pleasure of meeting somebody who was, at one part of my life, we would consider him a rival, and he was of my generation. And then we sat down, we met, and I was somebody else that was there said, let's take a picture. I said, yeah, let's take a picture, man. Come here. And he's like, I'm concerned, some people might take offense to the picture. I said, no, you're wrong. You are wrong. This is the picture we're supposed to take. Yeah. This is the picture that we should put out there. We should put this wherever people could see, to say, this guy has credentials and credibility in that world at one point in time, that guy that I was with. and who knows, maybe some could say same thing about me. And then they say, if this guy can do that and that guy can do it, and these guys were not just anybody, guys. This was somebody here, and they can do it. Then this should be an example for others to do too. You know?
Yeah.
That's your brother. Why are you fighting your brothers? Why are you fighting your brothers? You know, for your identity purposes, you need to stop that. You know.
You know what? If I go back during your interview, you mentioned about when you were, I believe it was in Tams or where you were at, and just sharing, I think maybe a noodle or a cup of coffee or something, and you mentioned that it was maybe like somebody, let's say on the other side, right? Like a rival, whatever you want to call it, and they start looking out for each other. Like, man, like.
Yeah,
these are the guys that begin to look out for you, no matter where you're at.
Right. You know what happens?
Yeah.
So they say, man, the state, they took us and they put us in the prison 5 hours away or 6 hours, however far Menard is. That's a drive right there. And say, you know, my family, you know, my girlfriend, she don't want to come together. Hey, bro, you know, you're close to us. We're from the same community. We're just a little bit apart. And, you know, can we carpool? And you know how many times I've seen over the years guys that were fighting each other, you're serving time for murder for that guy's group and vice versa. And next thing you know, after a certain period of time, you find out that you actually have a need that the other one could help you out with. And now your girls are carpooling. And now it's like, wow. You know, like, so all those young guys that are doing this thing, at some point in their life, if they ever come to prison, they're going to come to the realization, because it's such a closed environment, that, you know, that dude's not a bad guy.
Right.
This dude's cool. He's like me. We're just flying different colors, and we're from different areas and different organizations. But actually, it's the same interest, the same sense of humor. You have the same sense of humor. You like the same music, you know?
Right, exactly.
And it's just something that some people, it takes a while for them to understand that.
You want to,
Oh, well, what I would tell those individuals that you go into county jail with is, like you said, get like the discovery material early on. A lot of public defenders, and this is not no shade on them, they'll tell them they can't have it, when in fact that's not true. They're able to at least view it. They need to go through that, and really if they have to have several visits, the lawyer got to let you look at everything that the state got against you, the prosecution got against you, and then you can mount some type of attack against that, you know, like he said, investigative work, etc. You know, another thing that they need to realize is that, you know, when they come to prison, like he said, we're not like the western part of the United States prisons where they separate rival groups. They won't put norteños and sureños together over there and etc. Whereas here, you're going to be likely, they put you in the cell with somebody what they call ops, your opposition. You're going to go in there with somebody who you thought was your op. They do that on purpose. And that's the way IDOC does it, because they feel like, okay, we're not going to have them together in the same group because they're going to start plotting. So that's how they do it. So that's one thing. The second thing is you're going to be with somebody almost like 23 hours a day minimum. If you're not on lockdown, you know, you're going to have to smell his feces. You're going to have to put up with his ways. He's going to have to put up yours, you know. Visits may not come through. The phone's going to be, you're not going to get that much phone access, you know. So it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. It's like you said, lousy food. You're going to have to rely on commissary. A lot of times they don't have the items on commissary. You know, a lot of times you're not going to have money because people are going to start, as you're in there more years, people are going to stop sending you stuff. So your homies that you think are going to be there, they're going to fade away too. They're not going to be looking out for you. They're not going to get you a lawyer. You know, why aren't they getting you a lawyer now? You know, so this is the point. They really need to look at and what is really going on with their life, you know. And it takes a while. It takes a while, and that goes back to that maturity that I told you about. It takes a while for it to set in. But they're going to realize real quickly that, you know, everything that they've been fighting for, this whole belief system that they had, or this political identity or social identity, it's all been a farce.
Yeah.
You know? So, like I said, we have more in common. The idioms are the same.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of the guys that I see are young, man, 18, 19, in their 20s. And it's sad to see, you know, that they're like in the beginning of it. And a lot of them are fighting like some serious stuff, you know, so.
These guys is, you know, so, you know, I don't know, like I said before, if it's, you know, we're people of warriors. You know, we have warrior blood and boiling inside of us, you know. So we see the guy, our warrior mentality takes over or something. But, you know, when I was in Cook County Jail, I see some young guys, and they look strange to me. They even had strange haircuts from what I'm used to. This guy looks silly, you know what I mean? He looked like he was in the Amazon jungle. He didn't have a barber to cut his hair.
They call it the Edgar. It looks like Incas.
Trying to offend anybody.
No, right.
That's how I view them. And
I'm sure you guys probably had afros back in the days, or not?
You
push back.
But so like, and I said before, like I said, they isolated me right away. They even told me, you slipped through the system. You were supposed to be isolated. Why you stigmatize me so much? I've been gone. I've been in other states. Talk to those officers over there and tell them what I was doing over there in that state. Mind my business. Stay in my lane. You know what I mean? I could do time better by myself without worrying about somebody else's problem. I'm not going to, I could solve my own problem. I don't have them. And so when I see these young guys, little macho guys, one guy put the radio up when I talked. So, hey, can you lower it? I'm getting on the phone, put it up louder. Come here, I want to talk to you over here. And so you don't understand this, I want to talk to you in another kind of way. I'll send something different, But so like there was the macho thing all of a sudden now. But it's just they need to change the mentality on some of these things,
I think for that they need like different leadership, I guess.
Or mentoring or mentoring.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big word. That I think that's the word that I never grew up like hearing about a mentor. Man, what's the importance of having a mentor, especially one that's gonna show me in the right way, I guess?
Well, David spoke about me helping some guys with the legal work, but when I take on a case, I couldn't help everyone. I am mentoring a lot of those young guys that come to me, and I told you the crazy thing is I wouldn't be charging these guys, so I was just doing it to refine my skills to help me with my case. But the point is that I mentored a lot of guys in there. A lot of them I guided them towards education or programming, or and telling them the realities of like I mentioned about how this is just a generational thing, and they taught us to hate ourselves and hate others. I mean, I don't hate myself. I don't think anyone would say they hate themselves. What I mean by when I say that they hate themselves, to say that the white skin, the lighter skin is better than any other skin, the brown skin or the black skin. So there's that skin construction, that construct that your skin color identifies who you are and makes you less than the people that are in power. And so that is, like I said, that's that generational thing, to say that you're not as worthy or you're not the same as someone with a lighter skin construction. When that's a lie. But we're taught that, and it goes to generations, because I look at it now. I go to a lot of academic settings, and I'm able to hold my own, and I see a lot of people there that can do it as well. People of color. But the point is that like I said, it's this thing, this warrior mentality, this thing that comes out all the time, and it's something that's in us, and it's something that you can de-escalate it. You can get it out of you. You don't have to all the time be confrontational. It's not easy to do, but the mentoring comes in there, and that's what I would do. I'm like, man, you don't have to do that. Like he talks about the respect. You got to show respect in order to get it. If I'm not respecting the noise level that I got, like there's still black radios in there, these boom boxes that guys will play. And, like you said, it could be annoying. They could play music that you may not like, but they think by turning it up all the way that everybody's enjoying. No, everybody's not enjoying. I'm doing schoolwork,
Yeah.
So I would talk to them and tell them, hey, listen, man, you want people to respect you. You want to get the phone. You think people are playing you for the phone. You're not going to get any respect by not respecting others. So it's these little life lessons that you have to give to the younger generation.
At that time, I'm not trying to be tolerant about anything. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to have a tolerance level. Not saying I have a short fuse or something like that, but if you can't understand this language, then let's talk this other language. But that's right now. We don't need this stuff on the streets, because this is like when I got out of Omar, I seen some news stories, I even talked to some guys. I was around a couple guys I hadn't seen for a while. Or he said, that guy got shot 10 times. He's still walking around. That guy got shot 10 times. Wow. These guys the people who are doing the shooting must be going to the gun range, and they must be really honing in on their skills. And then I found out, no, it's not that. They have these long clips, right? The accessibility of these firearms in these neighborhoods is a big cause for this happening, because you can, I don't know, I'm not in that lifestyle, but I'm pretty sure you can get some money and buy a most lethal firearm, and one with a long clip, and then you could be Jose Feliciano. You could be a Ray Charles. You could be a blind guy, and you got this long clip, and you're gonna shoot that street up. You're gonna shoot somebody 10 times.
Yeah.
Now you're not a good shot. You're not a marksman or sharpshooter or expert of firearms person. You're just somebody who has a large capacity clip, and that's why you're shooting these people. And this is why the accessibility of these firearms in these neighborhoods is what's causing this tragedies and this destruction in our neighborhood, in our community.
You know, that's something that I didn't see back then, like in the 90s. But you're right. Like, I know had to be a month and a half ago, I believe, there was a sheriff that got killed at a gas station. It was like a carjacking. And they said they shot over 70 times at him with an extended clip. And like, man, that's something that back then, I don't know, I never heard, like, as common, I guess, as
and
now.
I'll tell you, Omar, so like I told you, like me learning about the Facebook world, right? And I'm getting away from that too. But these guys, they're my cousin could tell you, they're ignorant. You know, they're stupid guys. They're taking a video and they're showing the guns they got, and they're doing all the kind of gang representation symbols. That is going to be People's Exhibit A. People's Exhibit A in front of a jury when you go to trial, because you're going to get pinched sooner or later, and they're going to put those images on and big screen in the jury, and the jury's going to see that, and you're going to go to prison. And you're going to say, why did I even take such a foolish thing? It's a stupid thing to do, you know?
There was a guy here, he was doing videos, Love City. So he does like videos for for people, for cheap, and that's his way to reach the youth. And he tells them that he ain't gonna do no videos with guns in the videos. And he's like, man, I'm looking out for you, because some people wanted to do that, like throw their guns in the video and stuff. But he told them, man, they're gonna use that against you. Like in a Fed case, I forget what he called it, but he said, let's say you get charged with something else, they could grab these pictures and like add time to your sentence. I forget what.
Extend the sentence.
Yeah, so, there was a word he used that circumstance, something that, even though it's not part of the case, the judge could look at those pictures and videos, and because of this, like, give you more time, because you're already. It wasn't like a one-time thing. Like, your whole lifestyle was about this violence and.
So, I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in your right to bear arms. There's been cases where somebody want to shoot up the shopping center, and somebody carry conceal will take down the shooter. And so I believe in the right to bear arms. I don't believe the right to go shoot somebody or something like that because you want to go, act like a fool or something. But it's just, like I said, these things that we talk about, we're not saying them because all of a sudden we lost our heart, we're soft guys. I'm not a soft guy, but, some things, like I said, I see the moon, it touches me a certain kind of way. That don't make me soft. That makes me a human being. But I just wish that other people would have, more rational heads in their thinking, and realize, you're wasting your life with this fighting your own brothers. You really are,
Yeah. Yeah, and to the point that he's talking about that, NRA, there's like $1 billion a year industry with firearms. I agree that these extended clips, these switches, etc., the accessibility of these short assault rifles are making it for a really, really bad mix where individuals getting their hands on it. There has to be some type of control on that because it's just getting crazier and crazier because it's so easy to get. You see it all the time. So, we again had to have our lawmakers or something got to be done to, have it work. Because they say now if you have these extended clips, they're going to give you more time. But, studies show just by you saying, who's going to say, well, how much time am I going to have for an extended clip? Oh, they're going to give me 10 more years for that? Nobody's thinking that. Then I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to get 10 extra years. Hell no. If I can get this, I'm going to get it. I'm going to use it,
You don't know these things until you've been to the system, and then you realize, you're selling these drugs close to 1,000 yards within the schoolyard. That's an extra charge. Yep. You have a bulletproof vest. You're a convicted felon. That's an extra charge. All these extra charges they pile up on you, and then you don't know these things. At the time, you have no concern about they can slap another 10 years because you think you're not going to get arrested. You think you probably get away with a couple of things, but sooner or later the laws of average are going to catch up to you. But, one of the things we talk about, Omar, like how can you divert somebody from taking this path? I think that church is a great thing. Yeah. Church is a great. Every time I go to church, and I don't go as often as I could, some days I'm working that day or whatever. It's like to me, it's you. It was put in terms of you have a gas tank and you go to church and it's putting fuel for your soul. This is a fuel for your soul. You leave church. Nobody leaves church in an angry mood. Nobody leaves church in a negative hater mood. Everybody that leaves the church, if it's a good church, it's uplifting church, you're gonna feel uplifted, and you're gonna feel like, in a better frame of mind. So, church would be a good thing too.
Yeah, I think that's why it's funny you bring that up, because I was thinking earlier about, like, I always end my podcast with a scripture, right? It's Matthew 4:16. The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and upon those who sat in the region and the shadow of death, light has dawned. And the reason that scripture, like when I was praying, when I was starting this podcast, I wanted it to be more than just me. I wanted God in it. And so I was praying, and that scripture, when I read that scripture, it reminded me of the city of Chicago. Like the people that are sitting in darkness, like in spiritual darkness and sin, whether it be stealing, all this robbing, killing. And it just, like, I was reading an article. I believe that Chicago was like I forget the title, like the murder capital of the United States. I forget how many years in a row. And then that's part of that scripture where it says those that sat in the region and the shadow of death. So that's like what Chicago, unfortunately, is known for the region of shadow and death. And then light has dawned. And the scripture that came to mind also is when Jesus said, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall walk in the light and not walk in darkness. So I believe spiritually, that's the reason I do this too, to share testimonies that point people to him. So I'm glad you brought that up. Definitely, I would agree that's a way to reach it. And for me, I found that that's a way to break these generational strongholds and curses. Because now I look at my children, like for me, I was fortunate enough that when God came into my life, my girlfriend at the time was pregnant with my daughter. So I only had my son Angel, which is my wife's son. And when I got with her, he was 1 year old. So he got to see that bad side, or that, I would say that dark side of me. And when God changed my life around, my daughter and my son that followed seen the transformed man, the man that was born of God's spirit. So I would say, well, what I've seen is that God could change a man from the inside out. Dr. Erwin Lewis Cole said that many a man can change his way, but only God can change his nature. So for me, I believe it's important to start here in the inside to change the heart. I believe it's in Ezekiel where it says he will take that heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. I believe that a lot of men out there have that heart of stone. They're hardened because unfortunately the city makes you like this hardened. It's almost like you got to harden yourself to survive, out there. But God could definitely turn that heart around and use it for good, if we allow him to. So
God certainly changes my life. One of the great things I do, there's a lady across the street, Ayala, and I see her gardening, and I was unknowledgeable as far as how much water should I feed my plants. And so she came, my Mexican old lady, we had a nice conversation. I had a great time with her. She was educating me on all the things that I don't know about how much water to put and how many times to water my plants and stuff. And this is a great pleasure of mine, stuff like that. And it's just, I think I attribute it all to God changing things in my life, my mentality. Because once upon a time, I don't even care about the flowers, I get my flowers for my girl on Valentine's Day, that's it. But now to see them bloom and see the fruits of my labor, caring for this beautiful plant and seeing it blossom and bloom, I really find that very enjoyable for me.
It's funny you bring that up because we were walking on the side of my house. You were looking at the plants. Like, what is that? What kind of plant is that? You asked me the name. Yeah. Like, man, I don't even know what that is, man. But you're right. You know what? For me, gardening is therapeutic, man. I don't know if you've been doing some gardening.
I was doing some gardening. It might sound weird, but I had some weeds. I think those weeds have a right to live too, not just on my property, because you're making the property not look as good. But so just planting things. I put some grass seed out there, and I love birds too. The birds are eating the grass seeds. Oh, come on, man! I'm feeding you enough bird seed to leave my
grass alone.
Grass seed alone. but it's kind of similar. But you know, all these things are blessings. Before I came to prison, I wouldn't even think about things like that. And you know, I remember when we were in the neighborhood, my cousin and I, there was a guy. He served some time in prison, and when he came out, you know, he happened to be passing by us, and we invite him, come hang out with us. You know, we were drinking some Boone's Farm, and he was like, the way he looked at us like we were lepers. Like, oh no. I told a couple guys, man, that guy got soft.
Yeah.
Prison made him a soft guy.
Right.
He don't even want to come around us. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But now that I know, this man was on parole. He would have violated his parole right then and there. So if you come to jail, you come to prison, you're gonna realize it's not a fun time. You know, you're gonna be locked up when you could be laying in bed with a girl. Right?
Yeah.
But instead, you'll be in prison and locked in the cell instead of enjoying the outside, you know?
Yeah. You know, when you bring up a good point about that, because, like, I think, like, when somebody shows, you know, like, in the neighborhood, love, you know, we're love, right? Love this or love that. And they look at you, like you mentioned, oh, this guy got soft, this guy's weak. And a lot of times these guys, they want to turn their life around, you know, they want to marry, take care of their children. And we look at them as weak. And unfortunately, a lot of times their own guys come at them instead of supporting that change, you know. So I think that's another area that needs to change, like the mentality, man. Like, it's to me, it was sad to see that guys that, let's say, the opposition didn't take them out, and they made it, let's say, into their 40s or even close to 50, and then they want to walk away, and now your own guys want to get you. And then to me, when I look back, I'm like, man, that's sad, man. Like, that's what it comes to at the end. Sometimes.
I saw a guy like that. I saw some guys that misinterpreted the guy. This guy wanted to live a different sort of life, and they thought that he was a pushover. And I actually told one guy, man, that dude right there, man, you just don't know. It's like the toughest, somebody like Bruce Lee, you know, he can go in a bar, they want to challenge him because they say, you're the toughest guy, let me take the toughest guy on. And then they find out that he was no joke, or the best gunslinger. You know, this gunslinger didn't have to brag. He didn't have to show that he was the fastest draw in the old days because he knew it. He was securing it, you know. And so, you know, the people could say that if you say, you know, Omar, man, you know, I forgive you, bro, for what you did. That's soft. No, that's not soft, you know. You know, that's not soft at all because that's strength. You know, that's strength to say, if you're worthy of the forgiveness, then I extend that to you. And what do I say worthy? You know, if you harm me and you still revel in that and you haven't changed your mentality and you wish me bad ill, I'm not forgiving you, you know, and you might call me a sinner for not forgiving you. I'm just being an honest person, you know. But if you are sincere, I'm talking about sincerity. Yeah. If you're a sincere person and you're worthy of that, I'm gonna give that to you, you know.
Gotcha. You want to chime in?
Oh no, I mean, you all are hitting really good points as far as change. The change happens from within. It's no different than an adult fiend, someone that's addicted to some type of substance. They have to be willing to do it. They can go to all of the rehab centers in the world, but unless they take that step to change themselves or the way, you know, they're living, it's not gonna work. You know, it's when they accept that, you know, that they have a problem and they want to change, then it happens. You know, it's the same thing with any lifestyle. If I'm living the gang lifestyle, drug lifestyle, whatever it may be, unless you're willing to change, it's not going to happen. And I do think that the church plays a pivotal role in getting people to come back and realize that they can change. And it's sad that, you know, people look at people in prison when they want to become what they call, quote unquote, a born again Christian or take on, you know, accepting God as their Lord and Savior. You know, they looked at a certain way, you know, like, oh, he gave up, you know, he's weak, he's this, you know, and these are just, like I said, the same thing how we look at somebody, oh, he's a schoolboy, you know, oh, he's a square, he's a lame, he's a this, he's a that, you know, when really those are the things that we should be striving for, you know. It somehow got twisted, and we look at things in a backwards sort of way. So, you know, I just hope that, you know, people will come back to the church. I think that, you know, it's moving slightly in that way. I see like the Victory Outreach in Pilsen. There's another church, I can't remember their name. They now are establishing themselves in South Lawndale. So you know, you see the back of the yards, they have that things going on with the Precious Blood Ministries. So there is that hope that you see, you know, these churches or people that are doing that work emerging in these communities. It's just hopefully that they can touch these people, that they could change.
I found it good. I found a very nice place, Align Ministries. The logo's on my hat.
Okay.
And
What is that in the middle? Is that like a flame?
it's a line. It's a symbol for the church.
Okay.
And when I go there, I always feel uplifted and everything like that. And so it's for my own personal. It's for my own personal growth.
Yeah.
There it is. Like I said, you can't misinterpret somebody who wants to do good as being soft. He's a washed up guy. He's a has-been. What has he done lately or anything like that? Because then you'll find something different the hard way. Yeah. And then that's better to just avoid all of that stuff. And, live your life, stay in your lane, let that guy stay in his lane. And then you won't have problems. Nobody will have problems. You have, problems free.
Yeah, I know earlier you brought up the warrior in us, and I was reading a book. Craig Groeschel was a pastor, and he was talking about in Genesis where it says that we were created in the image of God as men. As men, he created male and female in the image of God. And then in Exodus 3:15, he says that the Lord is a warrior and the Lord is His name. So then he tied them together. He said, If we're created in His image and He's a warrior, there's part in us already that desires to fight. And he was talking about, man, he said that a warrior without a cause to fight for will fight against anything. And then there was a scripture where he was talking about like the men were commanded, all right, fight for your wives, fight for your children, fight for your families. And unfortunately, when there's nobody there to teach us that, that's another way to fight. So a lot of times, let's say like coming to church, you think, oh, you got to be soft or weak now. No, you come to God. He wants you to keep that same energy, but now you're fighting for a right cause or a godly cause. Now you're fighting for your marriage. You're fighting not to go through divorce. Or we'll say like the previous generations, there was nothing but divorce, infidelity, and all these things. Now you're trying to model for your children that it is possible, man, to live a peaceful life, to raise your children right, and it's setting like a new, starting like a new cycle, I guess, in the family.
So if you think of community leaders, well, I'll call them community heroes. The ladies that went on this hunger strike to build the Little Village High School. They went on a hunger strike for weeks. I've been on hunger strikes in prison.
When did this happen? I remember hearing about that. Like,
yes, the year the Little Village High School. I was in prison.
That was some years ago, though, right? That was a while back.
A couple decades ago.
It
wasn't that long ago.
Right.
They didn't have that high school in that neighborhood. So if you're from that neighborhood and they want to send you, if you're from that part of 2060, they want to send you Farragut High School. And if you're coming from there, you might have problems or whatever other high school. So these ladies demanded from the politicians who are supposed to be serving the community, and they went on these hunger strike. I know a hunger strike is not easy. I've been on hunger strikes in prison. They deny me my rights, and everybody likes to eat. And I was only drinking water. I wouldn't even drink coffee or anything like that. And I went on the hunger strikes. Nothing to play with these hunger strikes. And these ladies went. And to me, why are there images in the neighborhood? Don't put the gang graffiti on there. Put that ladies, get the artists. There's so many of them. Put those ladies on there. They're my personal heroes. Yeah. The ones who made it possible to have this high school there, and honor them. Those are the ones they say, oh, he's a legend in Little Village, or she's a legend in the Village. Now, legend for what? Let that person be the legend that we look up to. Someone who did something positive for that community.
So we got to start uplifting others, or like viewing, I guess, having a different role model in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, different people we revere. Why would you revere somebody who, like when I was out of state, every time I saw the news, 4th of July, oh, Chicago had a record number of shootings. And these guys in the prison, man, you from Chicago? You from the area? Yeah, I'm from the area. And they're glorifying this activity, and I'm thinking, you glorify this activity, you don't got to live there, No. If you live in that neighborhood and some bullets are coming through the wall and they're shooting your grandchild or something like that, then you're not going to think it's such a good thing, Yeah. It affects you personally, you're not going to think it's such a good thing,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, this month is going to be the 16th of September. We've seen what happened on the Cinco de Mayo. I would just hope that we don't see a repeat of that, that people can celebrate, Mexican Independence Day, Mexican Pride, and get out there and enjoy it, because I remember me and him It used to be fun, even though the cops would harass us sometimes. But the times that we could enjoy it, it was a time that we, sit there and enjoy the parade, man. See everyone coming down there, the different people, doing whatever on their floats, the music. It was just, the food, etc. And so I hope that doesn't happen on the 16th of September, that people will actually, come together and not let that happen. Like you said, the church, I go to the New Covenant Church on the north side in Humboldt Park, near Division and Kedzie. There's a lot of system impacted people, and I go there, and, you do walk away feeling good. Every time I go there, I don't go every week because, sometimes I'm working, unfortunately. But, I think that, people need to have that in their life if they really expect to find some peace and, getting back to, centering themselves and, finding a purpose.
Yeah. When I speak about church, like, to me, one of the things that I dislike very much is a hypocrite. So I'm not going to be a prophesizer. I'm not going to be preaching to you and then I talk the talk, but I don't walk the walk. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm doing anything wrong or anything like that, but I'm not asking anybody to look at me as being an example of anything. I'm speaking about what's good for you. And I'm telling you what's good for you. If you go to a church, the right church, some church might be boring to you. You might not, it might not affect you at all. But if you find the right mix of the church right there, you're gonna be uplifted. So you consider who is this benefiting? It's benefiting you, and it's benefiting you, it's going to benefit others because you're going to be in a good frame of mind, and you're gonna pass that positivity on to the next person. And that's a good thing. Oh, yeah, if I tell you, let's go work out in the gym, that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. Or these things that are good for your physicality and also good for your soul.
No, yeah, it's all around. That's what I was doing. I used to do the workout in the Word. I don't know if I shared with you guys, but we used to work out for an hour and then get in the Bible study. So I was looking at it like a physical and spiritual edification, like all around.
And then you have to do something for your wife or your girlfriend. Do something romantic and take her on a date night or do something good for that. And then you got your bases covered. Do something for your children.
That's actually number one, man. I'm gonna, that is one. I forgot to mention that,
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good thing there.
No, yeah. I know we've been touching some heavy topics, some serious stuff. But I want to maybe change it up a little bit. Well, what are some things that you guys are looking forward to do? Like maybe some, what's the word? Like a bucket list. Now that you guys got this freedom, I know it was 42 years. Do you have a list of, maybe some fun activities or some things that you want to knock out? Yeah.
So now, been out since December. There's some things I have not been to the beach. I have not even swam yet. Life has came to me. And I got really focused on my home. That's like my focus. My focus wasn't getting some jewelry or some other things like that. My focus was like getting. I want a leather recliner couch. I want an island in my kitchen. I want some things. I want a soft pillow. I want a new bedroom set for my guest bedroom, and I want to make my lawn very lush, and that's my focus. But in the process of all these things, some things have passed me by. But it's not too late because thank God, thanks to the Lord, I'm healthy, and I'll get around to doing those things. I told you I took one bath so far. It was a marvelous thing, I don't know. Most people just take a shower. Yeah. That bath was like, oh my God! I was like,
did you soak in there for a while?
Man, I soaked in. I almost got turned the grape, like
turn to a grape. Yeah. Approved. Yeah.
Oh my God! But then also having me a glass of wine too, so that helped it a little bit while I was laying in that bathtub. But we'll get around to those things. Yeah. I know I will.
Okay, but that's I know you mentioned the beach. Is that one you want to do, like experience?
Maybe some traveling. Some traveling.
Any places in particular that I don't know that you just I want to check it out one day.
Like I would say probably Italy. I read some books on a memoir of somebody that went to Italy, and they went to some really nice places with good food. I like Italian food a lot, and so maybe some part of Italy I would like to go to.
Now, let me ask you about that, like a memoir. Like in there, like did you find, let's say, reading that, even though you were there where you were at, did it help your mind like escape while you're reading it, like visualizing some of the stuff you're reading? Or
when I was in Tam's prison, like I went to 7.5 years without TV. After a year of no write-ups, you're eligible for TV. And at that time, in Tam's prison cell, they had a concrete shelf. And at that time, they sold the bubble TVs. So a bubble TV and a radio would not fit on there. So you had a choice. You want your TV or you want your radio? I chose my radio. And the reason why I chose my radio, because at nighttime, this was a late night show, the BBC. And the British Broadcast Corporation would have the correspondents all throughout the world. And I would close my eyes and I would listen to them say, we're now in Antarctica. And you could hear the wind blowing. They had the acoustics of the microphone. You could hear the wind blowing. And I would just visualize myself, how is it that I could actually feel cold? And then next thing you know, the next storyline, the next segment of the story, they were in Afghanistan. Again, I close my eyes, and they'll say, we're walking up to Kandahar, and you can hear the rocks tumbling down, and that was my escape. That was my away from the prison, and I would be so focused on that. When they would have the mentally ill guy, there was always a mentally ill guy in a chair banging all night, boom, because he wanted attention. He was mentally ill. He was mentally disturbed, and I was even able to close him out because I would focus so much on these stories, and that was my escape at that time, And sometimes now, like, I marvel at how far, I put a Facebook post when I was driving on the expressway. And I was like, a few months ago, I was in a prison cell. And, in Cook County Jail, we had certain times we could be on the tier and then we have to go lock up. And it's always seemed like, like if we were put on CNN, I wanted to watch what was happening in the political world. And then they'd say, lock up. Man, and sometimes the officers wanted to lock you up early. They would cheat you out of 5 minutes, and 5 minutes meant a lot because you could see that story within 5 minutes, but they're locking you up. And sometimes we'll have to go tussle with them. Hey, listen, man, I ain't going nowhere till I give me my whole time. I'm not trying to be difficult with you, but I'm going to serve my rights of what I have. This is what was afforded to me, and just imagine that you're getting stressed out. Your world is becoming like it's so stressful because you're fighting for 5 minutes to watch that story that's going to come on within 5 minutes, but they want to lock you up. And now we have this freedom. And one thing that I'm very appreciative is that I haven't lost my sense of gratitude for things, my appreciation things, the magnitude of things. I still look at a flower and marvel at its beauty. And I don't think I will ever lose that because I went a long time without seeing one. And now that when I see them, they're just like blessings. I still think, and people might think I'm crazy or something, I see the tree swaying. I really believe that's God telling me that tree is saying hi to me. Hello. I say hello to it back. If you see me one day, Omar, you see me waving that flag, I haven't lost my mind. I'm not going crazy. Right. I'm just appreciating the nature.
No, yeah, and hugging the trees. I believe you mentioned you hugged 3 trees when you got out.
That's a good thing right there.
No. What about you, Jimmy? Any like a list? I don't know. The question was like a bucket list or things you want to do.
I haven't been in a bath yet, and I haven't swam yet. Those are things. I mean, the summer came and went so quick. I couldn't believe it, but. Yeah, I mean, just like him, I want to go to like the south of France, south of Europe, south Italy, maybe Greece, other places like that. Somewhere warm, that's why I say it's south. But yeah, I want to do things like, I want a parachute. No way, yeah. I remember there was a ride they used to have, those that remember, well, I might be taking it way, way, way back, but we used to have an amusement park over there on Grand Avenue, and I remember they had this parachute ride, and you could only be a certain age to get on there. And I lied. They let me on there anyway. But I really enjoyed that. And David and I went to Acapulco as kids, and we got on this thing, and I just wanted to go on this parakiting where the boat takes you up, and it's just that how could I say it? This I found it really exhilarating and liberating to be up there, like floating.
Oh, so you actually did it at a young age?
Yeah, it was parakiting. That they pull you and then you come up.
Yeah, you're in the air.
Yeah. But I want to have that feeling again, but out of a plane. I want to do it out of a plane. Jump out of a plane on a parachute. That's one of the things you talked about. Bucket.
Yeah. Bucket.
That's one of the things I want to do.
It's interesting for me when I talk to other guys who've been locked up a long time, and I never ridicule or think that's weird. Nothing's weird to me, and none of those things the desires they want to do. If one person tells me my cousin wants to jump out of the airplane, hey, God bless him, let him jump out the airplane. Not for me. You know what I mean? I will do something. I probably would want to go. I probably would want to probably volunteer to go to plant some trees with somebody in a something like that. That's like I would never had that desire or pleasure before prison, but somehow or another, nature just really has an effect on me like that there, you know. So I don't care about getting renting a big boat or yacht and going in Bermuda or something like the Bahamas or whatever. I would rather do something more simple. That's my personal.
Oh, yeah.
But if that's your thing,
Right.
hey man, listen man, more power to you, bro. I understand that's what you dreamed of.
Right.
You were in prison and you dreamed about these things, and now they come to fruition. And so, hey, thank God for you. You know.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, after that much time, I think, man, you guys deserve to whatever that looks like, man, to at least experience it. You know what I'm saying?
Like about like the flowers you find gardening therapeutic, and it is. Nature is therapeutic. I mean, that's a fact. You know, definitely. My therapist tells me all the time, you need to immerse yourself in nature more. You know, go for a long hike. You know, simple thing. I go up at the beachfront, and you know, there's areas where you have trees and whatnot. I'm not there like to watch the boats and all that stuff. But to be there in that moment, see the nature. They got a bird sanctuary in certain spots. You know, I don't like the geese. I'm not particularly fond of geese, but they have a purpose too. You know, because they crap everywhere. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, geese are geese. People feed them. They tell you don't feed the geese.
Right.
People are feeding them all the time. You know, I love the ducks. You know, so it's those, like you said, those simple things are they do make you feel human.
My girl gets a big kick out of me because every time I go step into the backyard to feed the birds scatter. And I always just talk to the birds. Hey, don't be scared of me. Don't you know that I love you? I will never harm you. I will never in my life harm these birds. I love you. Well, who thinks feeding you all the time? Me. So you don't have to scatter. And the first thing I say to them when I step out in the backyard, don't be scared. Don't be scared. And my girl's laughing at me. She's talking to the birds again, huh? Yeah. I'm trying to get them to understand. I'm not trying to harm them. I'm trying to help them.
Right.
You know?
No, hey, that's wonderful acting, man. I know you. I still remember a part of your story where you said you took off. You had been on concrete. I forget how many years. So many years. 17. And then you took off your shoes and your socks, and you were just walking in the grass. And you're like, man, people probably think I'm crazy, but 17 years of concrete just to feel the dirt and the grass under your feet.
Feel the soil, like because there's guys in prison, they bug up. You know, we say they're bugging up, they're going crazy, they lose their mind kind of way. And I used to think those guys were soft. I say, you know what, you can't handle the pressure. You a soft, and I don't want to say profanity, soft dude, but then I know everybody has their own unique experiences, what they went through, and who might have judged them if they had that effect on them. Some guys are cut off for some things, some guys are not cut off for some things. And I was 17 years without feeling the earth, without feeling the soil. And so when I went out to the yard, when they finally let me out, I was like shocked. I felt almost like I made parole. I was out there, and I took my shoes off, took my socks, and I was walking on the grass, and I seen a dandelion. It was a dandelion. I thought it was a daisy, but it actually was a dandelion. Picked the dandelion, I was looking at the dandelion, and then I turned around, and there was like 6 or 7 guys looking at me. And I first started to explain to them, hey, man. And then I said to myself, I'm not explaining nothing to none of these guys. I don't owe nobody no explanation, nothing. I do what I want to do, and if I want to smell that dandelion, that's what I'm going to do. But it had this effect on me that it was just such a great creation,
Yeah. Hey, you know what I want to bring up? Like, I know when people listen to your story, well, one of the I say most common comments that I will get is a lot of people were amazed how you were able to maintain your sanity, I guess, and how well, like, you express yourself, communicate it. And I just wanted to share that, like, after 42 years, that's one of the things that a lot of the people noticed. And what would you attribute that to? Like,
well, for me, in my life, before I came to prison, it wasn't strange for me, the police to come raid my house all the time. Like they would raid my house, like they would they would allege my father was to something. Who knows what they would allege? These charges, there's empty charges, and they'll come raid the house. So like if they raid my cell in the prison, it's just a continuation of what they did. They raided my house, and when I was on the outside, and now they're raiding my cell. It's just a continuation. Now, thank God now I don't have those issues because I'm not doing anything where they could be misconstrued that I was involved in something to give them a basis to come and knock down my doors or something like they did all my life. That's what they did all my life. And now that I have this peace where I don't have to worry about those things, it's just it's a big relief. But as far as how I was able to maintain my sanity or something, there was just a formula that worked for me. And that was, like I said in the other podcast, I went to sleep at the same time. I woke up at the same time. I had a very strict structure, a routine that I would stick to. I will exercise. I always exercise. And I come out here and I see some guys that are younger than me that look older than me, and they didn't take care of their bodies. And so I did take care of my body. He took care of his body. He still take care of his body now. And so praying was a big thing. Getting fresh air. When times you're in an environment that's like on an airplane, you're breathing in the same air, and they have all these airborne viruses and pathogens coming through the air. And I will go outside, and I always said it was like a blackboard, a school blackboard. You had all this writing on there, and it's all the clutter of these thoughts in your mind. And when I went outside, it was like somebody took an eraser and erased, and the blackboard is now clean. Now my brain is cleansed, and I'm able to relax a little bit. And that was a simple oxygen to my brain, just getting simple oxygen to my brain. So there was a strict routine that I was in. I noticed that was the recipe for success, and the recipe was for failure was doing opposite things. Staying up all night and all this stuff here, and not exercising. And your energy, you're going to get it off one way, you're going to get it off another way. And if you get it off the right way, do a bunch of push-ups, crunches, all these things, it's better than pacing back and forth, going nuts like a bull in a China store, ready to knock some stuff down. Better go get that exercise on. We'll do pull-ups. Some of my friends, we improvise ways to. We didn't have weights. We didn't have machines, so we will have to work what we had. Whatever we had, we'll improvise and do the best, and that kept us stable.
Okay.
But still, like Jimmy said, he's right. We are traumatized, and there's nothing weak to say about that. I told you the story when we went to the supermarket, and they wanted to check our bag, and something triggered in me like deeply, and I just felt like, okay, here we go again. Accusing us falsely, because that's what they were doing. They weren't doing their job. Like just randomly, they stopped us, and I was thinking, like, here we go again, falsely accused, and for no reason at all. And so, it's like a soldier. I have a friend that served in the military, and he was subjected to those IEDs, improvised explosive devices, these things they were put on the road. And so now, thank God for his wife being so patient with him, because if he goes down the road and there's some garbage on the road, he flashes back. It's a trigger to him that this might be a bomb, even though we're in the United States here. And we have these triggers. My cousin and I have triggers. My friends that serve a long time in prison have these certain triggers, And, they say, this guy's coming up for his post-conviction. We want support to go in the courtroom. Would you please come and support this man? This is an innocent man, like you were an innocent man, and we want to show the court and the judge and the state's attorney that he is not a forgotten man. He has a support base. And would you please come to court? And, okay, I will. I will do that. But I don't want to do that because the last thing I want to see is a judge. I had a bad experience with this judge. He had, like the way his ruling was, I don't personally, like, that's him. He must be a stronger man than me to go before these judges again, because I don't even want to see a judge anymore,
Yeah.
Last thing I want to see is judge.
Well, what about you, Jimmy? What would you attribute? Like maybe I know on your podcast too, you mentioned how there are like lingering effects. The trauma.
Absolutely. You have these effects, like hearing like some people in the supermarkets. They have walkie-talkies to communicate, and sometimes you have that reverb come on there, and that reminds me of what the officers used to have when there was an incident going down. So there's a lot of things like that can trigger me. You have that residual effect of incarceration. But like he said, for me, I was always reading. He knows I always used to study, even when I wasn't in school. I loved to read, and I loved, praying, staying focused. Having a regiment was also that, running, playing sports. I like to play basketball, handball, and things like that. So, if people that didn't follow that type of lifestyle, you could see that, they, like I said, they quickly aged. Or they passed. Some of them are dead now, and they're younger than us. They got out, and they just never took care of themselves and have a host of problems. But I just think that a lot of people need to understand that even though you're out, it's that stigma. Even those that serve time are paroled, because there's no real parole, but they're out. It's that permanent punishment. You got that, if that black box that you check where you're ever convicted of a felony or this, and you don't fill it out, they're going to find out, So it precludes them from getting, good employment, et cetera. I think both of us are fortunate we're working and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have the wherewithal within yourself, you're not going to make it in there. It'll break you. It will break you, and I've seen it happen a lot of times. And yeah, it's just a fact of the system.
We're forever. He and I and others that served time in prison for a crime we did not do. We're still labeled a certain kind of way. I remember when I was in Tams, there was a guy that was convicted of a rape, and everybody they want to ostracize this guy because they say he's a rapist. Nobody likes a rapist, and then the DNA evidence proved he was not the rapist. Scientific proof he is not the guy. And then there still was a lot of people that said, man, I don't care what that DNA said. That dude is a creep. He did it. And like the same thing with us. If I was to tell my neighbors don't know anything about me unless they're gonna see this podcast, you know what I'm saying? And who knows?
I'm gonna blur your face, man.
But like you say, yeah, at the time, but you know what? We were falsely accused.
Yeah.
We were wrongly in prison. And they'll say, well, it was a technicality. They didn't read you your rights. No, none of that. We were actually innocent men, and we were wrongly convicted, and the state took decades of our lives, and they stole our youth and everything else. But some people will still think, yes, you did it. So this is like, I'm not trying to convince anybody anything.
No, right.
You have your mind made up. You make your mind up. That's what it is. You're stuck on that. And I remember one time I saw a TV show where this lady, the police officers wanted to convict this guy, and they had mugshots on the table, and they said, "Look at these mugshots. Look at them. They're pushing this one particular," and her mind triggered, "That's the guy." And it turns out it wasn't the guy. And so then when this guy did all his time in prison, and then they found out the guy who fit that MO, the guy whose the DNA was proven was him, that lady still in her mind said, no, I don't care what any of that says, he's the guy. And so people have these opinions, and they're set in their opinions, and they think the way they think, and then that's just how they are. That's just what it is. And we're like not like a scarlet letter back in the day, put that scarlet letter on you, but we have this albatross around our neck or something like that, and it's just something we have to. Is what the wrongful conviction.
Right. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That we carry a stigma as well, even though that we are exonerated. People may say, okay, they had to have something to do with it. They wouldn't be locked up all that time. So I understand you're always going to have people that have those opinions, naysayers or whatever, and I'm not here to convince them either. Unfortunately, the career that I chose, and I'm going to go into law school, God willing. I'm going to, try to get some other people out for as long as I could do that work. I'm going to be in courtrooms. Yeah, it is strange going back in there. It's not fun. Just the whole treatment of somebody that's just going there to be a supporter of somebody. You got to get searched, all these things that, are attached to the carceral system, pat you down. Like I came through, I forgot I had a pen that had a metal clip on the top. It was in my pocket. They tell you empty the pocket. So the thing goes off. You would have thought I had a gun. Pull me to the side, pat me down. So you're like, man, we were asked recently to go, in fact, today, to go support somebody. I wasn't able to go because I work, and I was kind of glad. Like even though, that's going to be my career, it does, again, bring these triggering things because, it's the courtroom is what, got us in this, serving all these decades in the first place. So
we face all these awkward situations. I went to the dentist, and I was having some dental work done, and he was like, I was like, he said, well, how long? It was a bruised tooth. I was boxing. I had to have my mouthpiece in the time, bruised my tooth, and so like the doctor said, well, how long have you had that? I said, well, that's probably 30 years ago. He's like, 30 years? Well, why didn't your dentist do something about it? I said, well, it's just, it's just one of those things. He said, well, and this guy was persistent, and he wouldn't let it go. And I didn't feel like explaining to him, maybe I was in prison. And you don't get to choose your dentist. And you don't get to say, I don't like that dentist. I don't like your dental work. I'm going to pick another dentist. And so this guy was persistent in his questions. Well, why didn't you just change dentists? I said, well, it wasn't that easy. Well, why wasn't it that easy? And, here I'm sitting in the chair, and I feel like telling man, hey, man, why don't you just quit the questions and just do your work and don't worry about what I was doing. You know what I mean? But, the same thing like when I went from a job interview, they're like, okay, well, we require your tax returns from last year. Well, I don't have none. Well, you don't file no taxes? No, it's just, and then you have to say, look, man, here's what it is. I was locked up for a case we didn't do. Well, I didn't do. My cousin, we didn't do. And so these decades, these were not years, these were decades were stolen away from us. And I didn't file any taxes because I was in prison. And so then and all of a sudden, they're looking at you differently. They're looking at you like, oh, man, can we trust them in this company here?
Right,
Now you're labeled something that you're not. Because the state wrongfully put this charge on you, and so these are awkward things that sometimes have to. First, God, I didn't even know about scanning. Went to the supermarket and know nothing about scanning, and I didn't know you put your debit card and you had to press the PIN number and enter and all that stuff. And it was frustrating for me that my family would have to help me out with this, and people would look at me like I was. Like some imbecile. Right. What's wrong with this guy? You know what I mean? But this is if you never had exposure to these things, how would you know? How would you possibly know this is the procedure for this? And these are some things that I'm still learning.
Right.
For me, it was going to get a car loan. I had no credit. I had to get my brother-in-law to co-sign. But the guy was sort of like what he's talking about. He said, well, why didn't you had bad credit?
Yeah.
You filed for bankruptcy? I said, no. And I don't feel the need that I have to explain every time, why you have zero credit. Now I got a 720 score, but back then I didn't have nothing, So it's not an easy thing. Like I was glad when he got the home, he got it his loan approved, He worked to get his credit score up fairly quickly, so that's a good thing, But one step at a time, piece by piece, we're putting as much as we can, back into what society is, expects of you, but these things that society has available to you, And so now we're learning all that. We're learning as we go along. We're navigating it.
Now this is the first year that as a homeowner, I'm gonna have I have to go prepare for the kids candy, give kids.
Oh yeah, Halloween.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Christmas, decorating a tree. This is the first tree that I will have decorated in decades, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm even open to having what's that? The ugly sweater you put.
Oh
on?
yeah,
Give me the ugly sweater.
Yeah.
Give me the ugly sweater. I'll put the ugly sweater on, and just experience these great joys.
Right. Man, see, even like that, I know it's not like a bucket list with all these extraordinary things, but it is a list still of things that you want to experience, things that you want to be a part of, like.
I want to go to a Bears game. I haven't been to.
I've never been to a Bears game, man. For real. Hey, let me know, man. Maybe I'll join you guys, man. I've never been there for real.
What?
Oh, yeah.
From Chicago?
Yeah, man. Hey, I'll get quick story. I'll share this. The day, not the day I got saved, but that Sunday. It was a long story, but my girlfriend was praying for me to go to church, and man, that Sunday before the Tuesday where God touched me, I was supposed to go to a Bears game with my brother. He had a ticket for me and everything, but man, I got so wasted the night before. Man, I got into a fight. It was a crazy story, and my brother calls me on Sunday morning, and like, man, I can't make it. I was like done. And that was the Sunday before I got saved that Tuesday. So I was supposed to go to a Bears game, but it just never happened.
We'll go to Bears game. So like I've been to outdoor musical venues, right? And music in the park or something like that. Rosemont, Bolingbrook, places like that. And man, I have the best time when I'm there. I was just like, and I look around and I say to myself, man, this is just a marvelous thing. We've seen the fireworks before. Now they stopped the fireworks over the Navy Pier. We've seen that. And this was just a great experience for me. And so, being deprived of things and now having you have it accessible to you is something that makes it more. It amplifies it. Amplify your appreciation for this, and I really find a pleasure in that. And I'm looking forward to these holidays. First Thanksgiving. When I was a kid, we had our Thanksgiving together, family having together, and like his sisters. They're such great people, but when we got locked up, they were a little girl. So I didn't know them as a person, even my sister. I didn't know her. She was a little girl, and I think she's just a wonderful person, and thank God that we have this close relationship now. And these are just blessings. This just didn't happen to us. These are God's blessings to us now, and that's how I look at it,
Right. That's awesome, man. I pray you guys get to enjoy that Thanksgiving, man. Speaking of Thanksgiving, man, what's something you want on the menu that maybe that that you haven't tasted it maybe in a while that you want to...
Well, I want to share just a real quick story.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was one Thanksgiving when we were kids. They had a dog, right? His name was Smart. This dog came home. We don't know how he got it. He came home with a whole cooked turkey. I'm not talking about little.
No way.
I'm not lying. It's a true story. This dog came to the back porch with a whole turkey, and we were just like amazed at the fact we didn't know he had to steal it from somewhere. I don't know how he got it. He was a dog that was able like to open up fences and things like that. Yeah, he was a good dog. So it was real. I remember that Thanksgiving, like it was just crazy. You know?
We didn't think at the time he took somebody's turkey, fully cooked turkey. We live on 25th and Spalding. That's where I grew up, on 25th and Spalding. And they had the animal control van will come around. At first, that dog wasn't ours; it was a street dog. And that dog became our dog because that dog would go on our porch, and when that blue van went by, he'd sit down. Like, I live here. As soon as that van went by, he would go run.
No way.
Check this dog out. He knew, this dog knew. And so then we start feeding the dog. You know what, dog? You're our dog. And now we call that dog Smart, and that was the name of our pet. And he's right. He came on Thanksgiving. He came with fully cooked turkey. And we're like, wow, this dog was so smart. He brought the turkey home to us.
But I look forward to traditional turkey meal. But one of the things that my sisters are going to do is that they're going to make mole with the leftover turkey. So I remember the leftover turkey, like making a sandwich. Put some Miracle Whip on it, or whatever. So the next day, turkey's even better. So I look forward to not only the meal, but the next day meal.
Leftovers.
The leftover meal.
Gotcha. It's so interesting that now that you asked me this question, I never even thought of like I'm gonna eat this stuffing or whatever I'm gonna eat. I was more focused on the family dynamic, being with my family and enjoying this day. We just went to my cousin Miguel. We had a great time. He's a great, fantastic guy. We love this guy. We went to his house, and I was talking to him about the plants he had on his wall. And, he's just a great music teacher. And we really enjoy his company. And these things are more important to me than the food that was provided there, whatever. Just being with my family, that's what matters to me.
But it was funny that food brings the family together, though, right? It's like, I don't know, like the attraction, like, and even like in the old days, in the Old Testament, they used to, like, food was a way to conversate.
That's
so
it wasn't just
breaking bread, but it was what happened around the table. So I guess that's the importance of it. It's not the table itself, but it's what draws them there, and then it's the conversation, it's the gathering, the spending time with family, getting to reconnect.
Absolutely. We had a lot of people that had preconceptions of me, and they sat down and then we showed them, the person I am, and it's something different from what the ideas they had.
What they were maybe expecting to.
What they were expecting, yeah.
And
I don't blame them for expecting that, reputation or character, whatever, or whatever they thought, wherever their beliefs came from, whatever fed them those beliefs. If you see some news media about me at one time, it probably would not be something that I would be proud of, but it'd be something that they would give them those ideas or something like that. But now that they say, I would enjoy having conversations over things that I never would have conversed about before, and we're talking about plants. But I have a friend, and if you look at this guy, my friend John, he looked like a street guy. He's a big dude. He got tattoos and everything. And then, at first I thought he was putting me on because he was like, I see that you had a perennial flower there. I said, well, that's a perennial flower? How you know that? He's like, man, if you want one day, I could take you to my home and I could show you. We went to his home. It was like a beautiful garden. He planted this shaded perennial because this is a perennial that can grow in shade. And so this is what we're going to have here. And then we went to the nursery. It was like three friends of mine. We went in there and, the older ladies were looking at us coming through there. And, they got some guys had the Dago T-shirt on with the tattoos and stuff, and I was like a kid in a candy store. Wow,
look at that plant.
Look at that plant right there. Is that an annual plant or is that a perennial plant? And I want to know these things. And that's like I said, it's one of my great pleasures right now.
Man, that's awesome.
I never heard Dave say that about the plants, going to the thing like that. That's awesome to hear. But he all the time tells me he likes Menards, Lowe's.
They told me for my birthday. They said your birthday's coming up. You're gonna have a birthday party. What should we get you? I said, look, man, I don't want. This is what I want. Give me a Home Depot gift card or Menards gift card or Walmart gift card, and that'll make me happy. Yeah. I don't care about the amount on there, whatever you can afford. I want to go to Menards. I want to go buy some home stuff.
But Menards, now that we're older, It's like Toys R Us, man.
Yeah. Well, our friend tells me I have to put blinders on. Because I'm going down there. Oh man, that's a nice cabinet.
Yep.
I wasn't even thinking about having a cabinet. If I saw the cabinet.
Yep.
This where I'm at right now in my life, right here. You know.
Okay, no, that's good, man. I mean, I'm sure it's the little things that seems like bringing you joy, man. That's awesome, man. Pretty continuous for you. Now, you know, I want to give you guys an opportunity, and I know you guys reached out to come out here. Is there anything we haven't talked about? Something you want to share? Something on your heart? You know, whatever you guys.
I just, like I said, like it struck me being in some of these areas. I was passing through the area, and I saw that park, and I saw the change and the demographic of the population there, and I saw how developers have gentrified that area. And I'm not upset with any person who's a gentrifier. They're just trying to live their life as well, you know, as best they can. The young people trying to do for their own life, and it's just a tragedy to me that, you know, gang members lost their lives for this area, and you don't even own that area. And the same thing happened again and again. And to, you know, hopefully your eyes will be opened up, and then you could change your life, because you could always change your life.
Yeah, you know what? Going back to what's the word we use? Mentors. We need men in this Hispanic community, Mexican community, that are business owners that can mentor others. Like I know, like, one thing, like in high schools, that they hardly teach. I don't even think they teach you well how to handle finances. Yeah. You mentioned something about when somebody passes away, and the hit that the family takes financially trying to bury their loved one. And I had a coworker tell me, he's a African American, and he said that how his family, they learned to start getting life insurances, and these are things that I know, like, let's say, like, growing up, I never heard, hey, you should get a life insurance or things like that. And other communities know about it. And so when somebody passes away, instead of being a burden on the family, now in a sense, they're leaving a little bit of money for their family, instead of the family having to scrounge up money to bury them. So, like, just, I think it's important to have mentors, businessmen, show you how to handle your finances, you know, savings account, checking account, investment, and what have you, or the things that'll. Now we're raising these men, like you mentioned. It's unfortunate that they died for, let's say, for that area, but they don't own it. How do we get these men to really own property, you know, and help others? Yeah, go ahead.
Omar, with this platform here, you are a pillar of the community right now. I consider you a pillar of the community, because you have a platform to get message out, and that's important. Why do you think we're here? Why do you think we're here right now? We could be doing other things. We're here, and some people say to me, hey, listen, this podcast could financially compensate you. Some other podcast. I'm not interested in that. You know, my sincerity is what I'm speaking on now. You know, this is who I am right now. You could make your opinion of me however you want. That's fine with me. You know, don't get in my way if you mean something bad. But I'm not gonna get in your way either. You know, and then that's just it. You know, but you're a part of the community, and you have a platform, and it's a good thing. That's why my cousin and I were here.
Man,
yeah. To add to what Dave said, I'm just hoping, again, like the 16th of September, that Mexicans show their pride, they celebrate peacefully and enjoy themselves, and we won't see a repeat, because, you know, we're better than that. You know, let's show Chicago what, you know, the Chicago Mexican American community is all about. Show our pride and celebrate and have a wonderful time. But I would say, as far as anything else that I would like to talk about is this. You know, I have this campaign, Build Communities, Not Prisons. I helped push to get Stateville closed. Terrible conditions at Stateville Prison. We're going to push next to close Logan. The women have suffering from the same conditions. This is something that I do. It's not for everybody. I know everybody doesn't want to hear about closing prisons or making the prisons better for individuals or trying to get people out, but that's something I'm going to be doing a lot of, and I hope that people understand that, you know, what it does. It doesn't just affect, like, us. It didn't affect our incarceration, our wrongful convictions. It didn't only affect us. It affected our family. It affected some of our friends, and then the larger communities that we came from. So, you know, hopefully people will see that, and we can see some change in that area as well.
I'm glad my primo. I'm glad my primo made up the point about the Mexican Independence Day parade, or any parade coming up. Like before, you know, the Ku Klux Klan, they will hang black people, Mexican people, or somebody, and like you say to yourself, who needs the Klan? You're exterminating your own. The Klan is not even needed. The Klan is going to sit back there and they're going to laugh at you while you kill each other. not all cops, but some cops gonna laugh. They're gonna kill each other. What difference does it make anyway? They're animals anyway, so they're gonna kill each other. But let's show something different. Let's show something better. That's better not to do that stupid stuff than doing that stuff.
Right. No, I definitely agree. And man, I just want to thank both of you, man. For me, it's a privilege, it's an honor that you guys will come here. Like you mentioned, you not financially compensated because I ain't got no money to give. So, but no, for real, it's an honor. Like
that's not a motive, That's not a motive.
No, no. But I believe in divine connections. Like when I met you that one day, it was just. Like when I said, man, I had to go Google your name, because I knew the name, but not the face. And then
now some guys going to Google your name when they say your platform,
Man, you know what? The way I look at it is God's platform, man, because I just want to like share a message of hope, bring these testimonials. And what makes it easy for me is that it's really not about me. It's about the guy sitting in the chair right here. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say it's an honor and privilege for us to be here. Not for you to have us here, but
as you welcome us. So very hospitable. We appreciate that.
That's one thing I learned from my family, man. Hospitality, for real. That when I started this, God placed that word in my heart. Hospitality, man. Open up your home, and that's why when I started with the workout in the Word, inviting the guys just to work out, get in the Word. Yeah.
But my friend Fabian Santiago, we were going to New Orleans, and this man was so gracious to me that he gave me his bed, and he slept on an air mattress. I don't forget that guy. I love that guy a lot. And so, this is showing me hospitality that I will never forget.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's very important. There's little things that make a big difference, But, man, if there's nothing else you guys want to share, man, I always ask my guests if you guys could close us out in a prayer, so you guys could take turns, and we'll wrap it up, man.
I'll say a prayer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I always say a prayer.
All right.
I'll just say, we're praying in the name of Jesus that, people's lives will change for the better, to leave the mentality of hurting anybody alone and just prosper in your family and do good things in life. It'll come back to you multifold. And I pray in Jesus' name that we could make a difference in helping somebody, leave the path of destruction and the path of positivity. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Thanks for that, man. Thank you guys for your time. And with that, we're going to get ready to wrap up. Matthew 4:16 reads, "The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and upon those who sat in the region and the shadow of death, light has dawned." Alongside my guests, David Ayala and Jimmy Soto, my name's Omar Calvillo, and we are Wrong to Strong.